first weekend of spring training games is in the books. Now let's answer your questions coming out of it. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Monday, February 23rd, 2026. You're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. My name is Titan Gonzalez, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Colby Patnode. We're two lifelong Mariners fans who have been covering the team for over half a decade, and today we're opening up the mailbag like we do here every single Monday and answering some of your Mariners questions. But before we do, I want to shout out our title sponsor today, FanDuel. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Kicking us off here on Mailbag Monday is David, who wants to know, what are your highs and lows from the small sample size of spring training thus far? So in other words, what are our takeaways from the first 3 games of spring training so far? Not a ton, because it's only been 3 games of spring training, baseball being played on, February 20th through the 22nd. As far as lows go, there are none because no one's gotten hurt, which is a high in itself. And then in terms of the highs, I think it would be that, the prospects have really dominated the conversation so far. Obviously, Michael Arroyo has been fantastic so far in games, offensively, maybe not so much defensively. But, he had the really good game on Friday with the first homer of the spring for the Mariners, that opposite field rip that he had, and then also had an opposite field double into the right center field gap. So that was pretty cool. And then yesterday he had a couple of really hard hit balls. And then, Colby, Cade Anderson has had an impressive camp so far. We haven't been able to see it, but outside of videos that have been taken from behind the cage. But I know the club has been really excited about what he's done and those opportunities, and hopefully we'll be able to get to see him soon in games.
Yeah, sounds like you're gonna get to see him this week, sometime early this week, next couple days, and hopefully during a televised game. That would be nice to watch. But Anderson and Sloan really kind of stealing the headlines right now in terms of like in Cactus League play. Michael Arroyo's probably the guy who stands out the most. I mean, Laz Montes had a really nice at bat against Mason Miller, but whatever. Arroyo kind of stealing the show in terms of Cactus League games, and then in spring training, it's been the 2 rookie pitchers or the 2 prospects. And it sounds like both of them are probably going to pitch in a big league game this week. Anderson before Sloan. Anderson dominated another live BP, and people are really excited about that. So we'll see how that goes. But, the overall, the big positive out of the early, small sample size of camp and the Cactus League is nobody's hurt. And that's really the only thing that matters at this point. There are no lows. It doesn't matter that, Pizzardo only got 1 out. He also threw a couple pitches that, might have been strikes, might not have been. They decided not to challenge, whatever. You're out of that inning if those are strikes. So, it doesn't matter. Like, those guys could have a bajillion ERA. It doesn't matter. Like, just get to the season healthy, get your work in, get your reps in, and you'll be fine. And that goes for everybody. Rayleigh's had a couple of hits and some nice at-bats. That's good to see. Robles has had a couple hits. So that's nice to see. But ultimately, just get your work in, get healthy, stay healthy, and get out of the game. And let's get to opening day. Because you guys remember last year, they unfortunately couldn't get out of camp. And it's been 2 years in a row now. They haven't been able to get out of camp without a significant injury. A couple of years ago it was Matt Brash. This last year it was George Kirby, who had to start the year on the IL. So get out of camp as healthy as you possibly can. And right now, so far, they are doing that, but we are about a month away. So, the good news is nobody's gotten hurt. That is far and away the most important thing of the camp so far.
Code Mode wants to know, do you have any guesses on who's going to start on opening day this year? So I assume you mean who's going to be the starting pitcher, who's going to be the opening day starter for the Mariners.
I assume, yeah.
So last year it was Logan Gilbert.
Mm-hmm.
This year I think it's going to be Bryan Wu. I think he earned it last year. It could still be Logan. Do you think it's going to be Logan again?
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm. I think, Logan is a guy that the Mariners want to reward both with a new contract, but also just in general. He is kind of the staff leader. He's very involved in everybody else's bullpens, and they're, he's very attentive and he's there. And that's not to say Bryan Woo isn't. We know that the starters are all close and they watch each other's bullpens and all that. But Logan is the dude. Like, he is the Cal Raleigh of that pitching staff, where he is just like the unquestioned leader. And again, was Woo better last year? Sure. Was Logan terrible last year? No. He just couldn't get deep into games. So I think it'll be Logan, but yeah, it could be Woo. I mean, it's one of those two guys, right? I mean, they're not going to surprise us and give it to George Kirby, but does it really matter? No. I mean, like, I don't think if you name Bryan Woo the opening day starter, it just crushes like any chance of Gilbert signing an extension or anything like that. So it doesn't matter. No. But I think it'll be Logan.
And if it did, then you got bigger issues there.
Yeah. Then Logan probably was never going to sign here. Let's be honest. Yeah. But I think it'll be Logan. I think they want to reward him, and he was good enough last year that it's justifiable. So I think it'll probably be, he'll get game 1. I think Boo will get game 2, and then, probably Kirby, Castillo, Miller in that order, assuming they're all healthy, of course.
Yeah, my dad always asked me, like, what's the rotation going to be, on opening day and all that, like, who's going to start on opening day. And the thing that I always tell my dad is, like, look, the order of the rotation really doesn't matter, especially because like later on in the season it's going to change. But like the opening day starter aspect of it, though, like, that's a cool thing, especially for whoever gets chosen to do it. Like, that's a really cool thing, being an opening day starter, because there's only 30 of those guys every single year. So
remember the year where the Mariners gave it to Eric Bedard over Felix?
Yikes. I would say that Bryan Woo absolutely earned it over the course of 2025, but if they want to give it to Logan, that's fine. That's fine by me. I mean, I really don't like care that much at the end of the day, but I would give it to Bryan. If I was Dan, I would give it to Bryan. All right, we will answer more of your questions in just a moment, but first, a reminder: this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you once again by FanDuel. Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? Then I have great news for you. FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. All you have to do is use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. I'm talking flights, tickets, the whole experience. So if you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in, because now not only can you pick cash, but it can also send you to the NBA Finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you so much for making us your first listen for all things Mariners, and also thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Baseball is back, and you can lock in by joining the Everydayer Club, which gets you ad-free episodes and access to our group chat on Discord. For the next week or so, you can use the promo code SPRING, that's SPRING, for a free month. Go to lockedonmariners.supercast.com or tap the link in the description to learn more. Also, tomorrow we'll be kicking off our top 50 Mariners moments bracket, which means we have a winner in our play-in matchup. Who's advancing, Colby?
Well, in a rousing victory for recency bias, Dylan Moore's grand slam pretty thoroughly destroyed the combined no-hitter. Yeah, Dylan Moore's grand slam advances. The matchup at one point got to about 66-33, but ultimately ends up being 70-30 in favor of Dylan Moore. So, yes, I imagine recency bias will play quite a role in our poll going forward. So, if you're of an older generation who doesn't want your history erased, maybe you might want to start voting on this, because now, to be fair, this sample size was found on Twitter, so we'll see how different it is from.
It was also in the description of Friday's episode.
Yeah. We probably should have added a question there, like, hey, did you find the poll via Twitter or via the episode? Blah, blah, blah. But whatever. Doesn't matter. Yes. The whole thing kicks off tomorrow. Right now, as you guys are listening to this, there will be a video showing the first 14, the bye week teams, or whatever you want to call them. They are automatically advancing to round 2. Tomorrow, Ty and I will go through all of round 1 and just tell you guys the bracket and probably give you our quick thoughts and picks on each one of them. There's 18 matchups, so I'm not going to dive too deep into them, but
Right.
There will also be a video attached to those on a separate channel, not this one, that we will link in the description, and it just shows the plays in case you guys aren't quite sure what we're talking about when we mention the moments and all that. So, yeah, be on the lookout for that. The link to the first 14 will be in the description of this episode. The link to kind of the companion guide, if you will, to the first round matchups will be in tomorrow's episode description.
Yeah. Now, is it recency bias on the Dylan Moore Grand Slam?
A little bit. I mean, we're talking about a combined no-hitter.
I mean, yeah, that's cool, but like the Dylan Moore Grand Slam
in July, combined no-hitter. Yeah, sure. Roughly the same historical significance.
I mean, what that meant for the rivalry with the Astros.
I would argue the Abraham Toro Grand Slam meant more, which, spoilers, is not in our top 50 moments. So,
gee, I wonder whose fault that was.
You didn't fight for it. You're like, oh, that's way better than any. That's way better than any cycle. Like, which there are no cycles in the top 50 either, by the way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I made sure we got rid of all the cycles.
Just remember, guys, if your favorite moment isn't in the top 50, we probably did it because we hate you and we wanted you to personally feel the sting.
Yeah, it was a personal attack against you
and your fandom.
You watching right now. You looking directly into your soul. Now. Yeah.
That's right. We did it to screw with you.
That's right. That's right. Let's get back to your questions. Anonymous wants to know. To me, Garver and Rivas are making the team, and Colt, Emerson, and Andrew Kisner are not. And Vargas and Legumina are. To me, the last spot really up for grabs is the 8th man in the bullpen. Who do they choose? Someone without options, I'm guessing. Yeah, it's Criswell.
Yeah.
If Legumina makes it, then it's Criswell. Though I kind of feel like
he's going to make it.
I think Hancock makes it over Legumina, and then
I think
Criswell.
They try to get Legumina through, and if they don't, they're okay with that. They built up the pile arms with Zulueta and Robinson Ortiz and Hoppy and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Cole Wilcox. So yeah, I actually don't agree with you. I think Rivas makes it, sure, but I think Kisner will win the backup job. That one, flip a coin. Who cares? But yeah, I think there's 2 bullpen spots up for grabs because Vargas is going to make it. I don't think Legumina is going to make it. So I would disagree with you there. Criswell, I think, is probably going to make the squad as things sit right now. So yeah, at the end of the day, I do agree. There's probably 1 bullpen spot up for grabs. Maybe two, because Criswell's not a guarantee, but they like him. They think he's like really good rotation depth as well. And he doesn't have options and he's probably not going to clear. So yeah, I think the other guy might be Hancock, but I don't know. They still really haven't committed. Like everyone's like, oh, well, obviously he's going to stay in the rotation now. And people are just, Mariners haven't said that.
Yeah.
Like everybody's kind of assumed it, but the Mariners haven't confirmed it. I don't know. I think we've seen all we need to see from Emerson Hancock as a starter. And by the way, like, are we sure Hancock's even the number 6? Like, obviously, if like somebody, has a neck cramp or something, you need to skip a start, you need a spot start, Hancock, fine. But like, if somebody misses a month or 2 months, are we sure Hancock's the guy they're giving the ball to fill that rotation spot? Because I don't know, like how soon before Cade Anderson is just that number 6 guy? Right. It might be right away. Like it might have already happened. We don't know. Like obviously Anderson's not going to need a lot of time in the minors. So we'll see. But yeah, Hancock, if they don't want to keep him stretched out, then yeah, I think Hancock probably gets that last bullpen spot, would be my guess.
Next question here from Colby. Not that Colby, different Colby. Wants to know if Michael Arroyo goes off this spring, when is the earliest we see him? And will it be in the outfield or the infield?
I'm not sure how he gets there without injuries, or he just absolutely destroys, Double-A pitching. And then probably needs at least a cup of coffee in AAA. And I think they call him up, it would be in kind of a true like role player mode where it's be like, yeah, he'll play some second, he'll play some third, he'll play some left, and we'll just live with the defense because we trust the bat that much. So I think the answer to the second part of your question is actually yes. Like I don't think that's a joke. Like yes, he'll play infield, he'll play outfield. But yeah, when could you see it? June, July, maybe.
Yeah, it's just how do you clear the path for him to get ample playing time where it actually makes sense, because you don't want to call him up and then you're only playing him once, maybe twice a week. Like you want to play him at least 3 to 4 times a week if he's coming up, and it's just like, how do you do that? Now, obviously injuries can happen, blah, 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 blah. But like right now, as things currently stand, how is Michael Arroyo getting playing time right now?
Basically, you would need Robles and Rayleigh to just be bad like they were last year, or hurt. Because at that point, then your right field platoon can kind of be Ref Snyder and Canzone, and then maybe you could DH Arroyo, and that's the way to get him in the lineup regularly. But yeah, I mean, you're at least 2 or 3 months away from that even being a realistic possibility. And just, cut this off at the pass. There is no chance he makes the opening day roster. None.
No,
Zero, zip,
no.
zilch. Not going to happen. He was pretty good in Double-A last year. Not good enough to force the Mariners' hand. Not good enough for him to be a real shot here. And keep in mind, to play in the infield, he would have to be better than Emerson and Young, because he's not a shortstop.
Right.
Josh Naylor ain't going anywhere, so he'd have to be better than Emerson or Young. Not to mention Donovan, who's in front of both of those guys. And again, you're not calling him up to be a bench guy, so being better than Leo Rivas really doesn't matter in this case. So the outfield is where he has his best shot to break through. But even then, you kind of need Rayleigh or Canzone, and you need Robles or Ref Snyder to be bad, like really bad, like DFA worthy bad. And I just don't see that as a real possibility anytime soon. So sometime in the middle of the summer, around the All-Star break, would be my best guess as at the earliest you could see him. Unless, of course, there are injuries, which do the Mariners ever suffer injuries? Yeah. So
do baseball teams ever suffer injuries?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. So
it just happens. But like, just right now, just with the way that everything is constructed, I just don't really know how you get him the playing time that he would really need. That'll probably answer itself at some point.
Yeah,
I feel pretty confident that we'll see Michael Arroyo at the big league level at some point, as long as he stays healthy and performs relative to expectations. Feel pretty confident that we're going to see him sometime in 2026. It could be September, honestly.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you kind of hope it is. Like, everybody's just healthy and performing so much, you don't have room for Michael Arroyo. That's ideal. I mean, honestly, ideal. Colt Emerson wasn't up until September, if we're being honest. But yeah, I mean, I think maybe the interesting thing here to watch for Arroyo the rest of camp is, does he start the year back in Arkansas, or do the Mariners think he's ready for Tacoma after a very short trip in Arkansas?
All right, we will answer a couple more of your questions in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by Indeed. Hiring isn't just about finding someone willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business move forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed Sponsored Jobs is the move. Because instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to the people who fit your specific criteria, like skills, certifications, and location. If I were hiring, I wouldn't just want someone who can help. I'd want someone with real experience who can jump right in. That's what I like about Indeed. You can get specific and target exactly what you need. It saves time because you're spending less energy sorting through mismatches. And with sponsored jobs, your post gets seen by candidates who are actually a fit. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Listeners of the show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help you get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring. Do it the right way with Indeed. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, if you want to hear from me and Colby even more and help support the show, we have a Patreon. It's called Control the Zone. And on there we talk Mariners, Seahawks, all that good stuff. For more information, go to patreon.com/Control the Zone. Link in the description of this episode. Getting back into your questions here on Mailbag Monday. Craig wants to know, why hasn't Brendan Donovan played in a spring training game yet? Well, I think we should first acknowledge the fact that he has been participating in live BP pretty much every single day. Like he's getting at bats, he's getting reps. He just hasn't gotten into a game yet. And I think that's twofold. One, I mean, everything has started, earlier than usual because of the WBC. And right now it seems like the Mariners are prioritizing getting playing time for the guys that are going to the WBC. For Donovan, he did have sports hernia surgery back in October. So maybe they're just trying to slow play it with him a little bit here. And, he's not someone that's going to the WBC, so they don't really need to, fast track him or anything right now. There's still so much time left. And look, last year, and this is a very different situation, so don't get me wrong here, but, last year, Jorge Polanco didn't play for a while, and we were all like, what's going on there? And that was super concerning because obviously he had the surgery on his knee and all that stuff. And Jorge Polanco went on to be fantastic last year. So, I'm not concerned about Donovan right now, especially because, again, he's getting live reps almost every single day on the backfields right now. And I assume he'll be in a game at some point, probably sometime later this week, if I had to guess.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason to be concerned. As far as we know, he's not hurt. And obviously since he's getting the live reps and he's, participating in everything else, there's really no reason to suspect he is. I mean, the Mariners have kind of already said like, he's going to play a lot. We want to make sure he's comfortable at third and we want to make sure that we manage his workload throughout the year here. And we're going to play a lot of games with a lot of open positions. And so Donovan's going to get his at-bats. He's going to get plenty of them. It's not really an issue. There is nothing to be concerned about with Donovan not yet playing in the Cactus League. I mean, especially since we're 3 games in, about to be 4. Like, he'll be fine.
February 23rd. Yeah. Opening day isn't until March 26th. Like, there's so much time.
Talk to me next week if he hasn't played yet, and then I'll be like, noteworthy. Still not worried, but it's noteworthy at that point.
Sure. Yeah, but right now, again, because we know that he's getting the reps and because there's the context of all these guys that are, getting priority, because they're going to the WBC, all that, and also like right now, I think they want to prioritize giving Colt Emerson some runway and Cole Young some runway as well, because that's a far more important thing right now. Like, what you're going to get out of Brendan Donovan. You don't necessarily know what's going to happen with Cole Young and Colt Emerson yet. So giving those guys runway, that's the more important thing to me. Again, like I said, I think Donovan will play in a game at some point this week, maybe even tomorrow. Who knows? Jay wants to know, will the Mariners pitchers batting outperform the Mariners hitters pitching or vice versa? So essentially, like if the position players and the pitchers on the Mariners rosters reverse roles, who would be better at the other's job? I think Bryce Miller would tell you that the Mariners pitchers hitting would be better than the Mariners hitters pitching.
Well, let me ask you this. Are they facing each other?
I assume so.
Like, is Bryce Miller hitting and like Julio is pitching? Like, is that? Or are they facing another team's major leaguers? Because that changes things. If we're talking about other teams, the position player pitching has the advantage over the pitcher hitting. Because if the pitcher is trying to hit against like Mason Miller, it's probably not going to go that well. But if the pitcher's trying to hit against, Jake Cronenworth's a bad example because he can actually throw. He's a pitcher back in the day. Yeah, if they're going against Felix Fermin or whatever. That's not even a real player anymore. Freddie Fermin. Then I would give the advantage to the pitcher hitting because most of these guys played baseball. Like they didn't just pitch, right? They were the best shortstop on their team, or they were the third baseman who also pitched or whatever. Like most of these guys didn't give up hitting entirely until college. And so they're still good athletes. They still are baseball players. And if you're going to, groove them batting practice fastballs, like I bet Bryce Miller and Bryan Wood could put together an impressive batting practice. I'm not sure if Logan Gilbert could, to be fair. Just something about Logan swinging a bat that does not look like it would be natural whatsoever. But yeah, like pitchers are pretty good athletes. I think they could swing it. I think they could essentially, like if you're throwing them the game equivalent of BP, I think they would put on a bit of a show. But if they're, having to face like real major league pitchers, then I'd rather have the hitters pitch to the real major league hitters because the velo would be so low. And we've seen it, right? Like Rivas up there just like throwing these moon balls and whatever. So it kind of depends on the context, but if they're facing each other, like if they had this wacky spring game where they just flipped roles, I would take the Mariners pitchers to win that game over the Mariners hitters.
Same. Yeah, because I mean, like, has any Mariners position player pitched in their past? Maybe. I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head of anyone like pitched in high school or college.
Innings in the big leagues.
Yeah, but I mean, like, actually pitched. You know,
I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure at some point they have, like, people pitch. You're a really good little leaguer. You're going to pitch. You're going to play shortstop. You're going to.
But like, if you ask Bryce Miller, like, Bryce Miller would tell you with a straight face that he could probably hit like 30 home runs in a season if you give him 600 plate appearances.
I think if he was being honest with himself, he'd be like, I bet I could hit at least 200. But yeah, he'd probably tell you, I could hit 30. I'd give Cal a run for his money, but
I'd be inclined to buy into his confidence more than I'd be inclined to buy into the confidence of any Mariners position player pitching if they were going head to head against one another. So
I mean, I don't know. Maybe Julio's got a nasty like spike change or something that we don't know about.
Sure.
I don't know. But I'll take the Mariners pitchers against the Mariners hitters if they were going to play each other with reversed roles.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And once again, if you never miss an episode, it's time to make it official. Join the Locked On Everydayer Club and get ad-free audio, access to our members-only Discord, and more, all built for our most loyal fans. For Colby Patnode, I'm Titan Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at @LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Titan Gonzalez and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. We're also on Blue Sky. You can follow me at TDG, Colby at MLB Colby, and the show at Locked On Mariners. You can also find us on Instagram at Locked On Mariners. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.